Weather conditions a deterrent of progress in this operation today?
Absolutely, Katleho. As you can see, it is drizzling this side, and we were told that if the weather persists, then they might have to call off the search. But I want to start off with our vantage point right now. So what you can see, that area that is barricaded at this particular moment is where we spoke to you the last time with IPSS. That was one of the entry points that we were using to access the area. However, once again, the media has been removed from that particular area. Of course, the owners of the property do not want us there. Just up the hill, however, is where you will get a chance to see the building. I do believe that you actually have a better view of it this time around, and that's where the efforts of those, of the retrieval rather, of those people that are still entrapped is continuing. But to get more information on that, now I'm going to bring in Prem Balram from the Reaction Unit South Africa. Thank you very much for your time. Prem, I know you're rushing to go back, but let's just start off with if there's any updates at this point.
Well, listen, we haven't received an update. At 5 a.m. this morning, we have the rescue technicians that arrived on scene. And when they got on scene, they brought in some equipment. They brought some heavy equipment. The fire department brought in more equipment, and they're currently in progress. So we haven't had an update because there has been no further progress in terms of recoveries and rescues since last night.
And how are those efforts to retrieve those people going? Of course, you have the weather conditions. I know it was stated that even just the area where that building is located is a bit unstable. So speak to us about those efforts.
Well, listen, I've spoken to the rescue technicians a short while ago, and they didn't have any issues with working with the current weather. If it changes, they'll probably make a decision. I have no confirmation that they would halt any kinds of operation at this stage. So the temple is built on a cliff, you know, and it's obviously it's a concern. It's a bit more effort than a normal level piece of land that you'd be working on. So the rescue technicians are working at the site. They have removed the family. They have removed the general public that was causing an obstruction yesterday. There were vehicles that were obstructed, emergency vehicles that were delayed because of the general public coming into the area to view the collapse. So right now everybody's moved out except the family. They are in this immediate vicinity while the rescue is in progress.
Have any bodies been retrieved today?
I can't confirm that anybody has been recovered. At this stage, nobody has been declared deceased to the best of my knowledge. We are on scene there. No bodies have been pulled out or no persons have been pulled out from under rubble at this stage. That could change shortly, and when I have an update, I will update the general public.
I just want to go back. I know you said you can't confirm anything, but in terms of perhaps someone is looking at this, it happened yesterday noon. What seems to be the problem with the back and forth in terms of the fatalities? I know it was stated that, of course, some people are not responding, and perhaps that could be one of the issues that the rescue teams are faced with. But what seems to be the back and forth in terms of confirming numbers?
Well, listen, like I said, the numbers were very clear. The numbers that we released to the general public is very clear. When you got to the scene, there were 8 that were injured, expedited to a local hospital. Hours later, 5 were rescued. There were no, those were also taken to hospital. No other persons were found, no bodies were recovered, and there's no confirmation of death at this stage. It will, if it does change, we will let the public know. But at this stage, there is no confirmation of death as far as I'm concerned. I've been on the scene, and there's nobody that has been declared deceased. That might change at a later stage, but the public will be updated accordingly.
Just to confirm, on your side, you're saying no one has been declared deceased?
Nobody has been, no bodies have been pulled out. Let me be clear, no bodies have been pulled out at this stage. That could change shortly. When we have that confirmation, then I'll be able to inform the general public. But I'm not going to confirm because I have not seen any bodies at this stage. I have not been under the rubble to see or declare anybody deceased. My paramedics have not declared anybody deceased. When the rescue technicians inform me that we have a declaration of death, then I will release that to the public.
Let's talk about what you have seen. Apparently, there are people that can be spotted underneath the rubble, and it seems as if they're not responding.
Not to my knowledge. Okay, there were equipment used to determine whether there was any movement, any sounds, any kind of movement yesterday afternoon. And the best I was informed that they had found nothing. I cannot confirm whether rescue technicians have spotted or seen or physically seen any body at this stage. And when I do know that, I will let you know as well. But you know, I have the medical team standing by should they need to assist in any, rescue. But at this stage, I can confirm that nobody has been pulled out as yet.
And just the last one, are any people responding to any communication at this point?
Well, the first communication, I must tell you that when we got to the scene yesterday, 12:10, we had communication. There were several means of communication. One, we were talking physically to people that were under there. They were tapping of concrete. There was a WhatsApp message sent from under the concrete. And then there was a picture, an image sent of where one person was trapped under. So I physically saw and heard all of those. But as the day progressed, all communication was lost.
Thank you very much for your time. We'll let you go back to the efforts at this point that are continuing. That's Prem Balram there giving us very crucial information when you're looking at the retrieval of those people that is continuing at this point. Of course, as you heard from that conversation, there was a WhatsApp message that was sent from someone that was inside the rubble. There was also an image that was sent, but also tapping against the concrete, which is, of course, quite crucial when you're looking at the search and rescue teams that are trying to retrieve those individuals. But once again, I want to go back to where we are and what we can see here. The search and rescue teams, of course, are continuing with the retrieval process of those people that are still entrapped. As you can see from those visuals that my colleague Lungelo Zungu is showing you there, we can see from our vantage point that the rescue or the recovery is still continuing. The area, perhaps to go into that, it's quite vast. You're looking at an area that stretches on for kilometers on end, and we're told that it's owned by different people, and we understand that those are the directors that do not want us on that property. So at this particular moment, what we can confirm for you is that the search and rescue efforts are continuing here, and the search and rescue team stating that they are, of course, facing a bit of difficulty considering the weather that we have today, but also a bit of difficulty when you're looking at the rubble that remains after the building that collapsed. Of course, you remember there's concrete among other destruction that has now been left behind. But very, very crucial coming from that last conversation, there was tapping coming from concrete that is inside the rubble. There was a message that was also sent from inside yesterday and an image. But at this point, what we understand is that all communication has ceased.
All right, so that is the latest update.